Good morning, Avery, and welcome to Grandma's Story Room. We're going to continue reading out of The Little House in the Big Woods. And where we left off last time, Pa was going to tell the girls a story. And the story he was going to tell them was called The Story of Pa and the Voice in the Woods. So that's where we'll start.
When I was a little boy, not much bigger than Mary, I had to go every afternoon to find the cows in the woods and drive them home.
Now, he didn't mean drive them in the car. That means he needed to walk them home.
My father told me never to play, by the way, but to hurry and bring the cows home before dark, because there were bears and wolves and panthers in those woods. Well, one day I started earlier than usual, so I thought I did not need to hurry. There were so many things to see in the woods that I forgot the dark was coming. There were red squirrels in the trees, chipmunks scurrying through the leaves, and little rabbits playing games together in the open places. Little rabbits, always have games together before they go to bed. So I began to play that I was a mighty hunter, stalking the wild animals and the Indians. And I played that I was fighting the Indians until the woods seemed full of wild men. And then all at once I heard the birds twittering, "Good night." It was dusky in the path and dark in the path, and I knew I must get the cows home quickly, or it might be black night before they were safe in the barn, and I couldn't find the cows. I listened, but I couldn't hear their bells. See, cows wore bells around their necks, so people knew where they were. I called them, but the cows didn't come, and I was afraid of the dark, because I was just a little boy and the wild beasts, but I dared not go home to my father without the cows. So I ran through the woods, hunting, and I was calling. And all the time the shadows were getting thicker and darker, and the woods seemed larger, and the trees and the bushes looked strange. I could not find the cows anywhere. I climbed up the hills looking for them and calling for them. And I went down into deep ravines, calling and looking, and I stopped and I listened for the cowbells. And there was not a sound but the rustling of leaves. And then I heard loud breathing. And I thought a panther was there in the dark behind me, but it was only my own breathing. My bare legs were scratched by the bushes, and when I ran through the bushes, their branches struck me, but I kept on looking and calling, "Suki! Suki, Suki, Suki!" See, Suki is what they called cows. "Suki, Suki!" I called with all my might, "Suki!" And right over my head, something asked, "Who?" My hair stood up straight on end. "Who? Who?" the voice said again. And then how did I run? I forgot all about the cows. All I wanted was to get out of those dark woods and come home. And that thing in the woods came after me and kept calling again. "Who? Who?" I ran with all my might. I ran until I couldn't breathe, and still I kept on running, and something grabbed my foot. And down I went, and up I jumped, and then I ran. Not even a wolf could have caught me. You see him running so fast through those woods, I bet you would have been scared too. At last I came out of the dark woods by the barn, and there stood all the cows, waiting to be let in through the bars. I let them in, and then I ran through the house. And my father looked up and he said, "Young man, what makes you so late?" You been playing, by the way? And I looked down at my feet, and I saw that one big toenail had been torn clean off. And I'd been so scared I hadn't even felt it hurt till that minute. You see, in those days, a lot of kids could not afford shoes. So if you look carefully, you will see that Pa is running with no shoes on. Pa always stopped telling the story here and waited until Laura said, "Go on, Pa. Please go on." "Well," Pa said, "then your grandpa went out into the yard and he cut a stout switch off the tree." A switch is a tree branch, and it's sharp, like a little whip. "And he came back into the house and he gave me a good thrashing." That means he hit him a number of times with it, so that I would remember to mind him after that. "A big boy of 9 years old is old enough to remember to mind," he said. "There's a good reason for what I tell you to do," he said, "and if you do as you're told, no harm will come to you." Yes, Pa," Laura would say, bouncing up and down on Pa's knee. And then what did he say?" "He said, if you'd disobeyed me, or if you'd obeyed me as you should have, you wouldn't have been out in that big woods after dark, and you wouldn't have been scared by a screech owl." Parents in those days were a lot different than parents today. But you know what? I bet that Pa listened to his father from then on. So that's where we are going to stop today. And where we are going to start next time is Christmas. And their Christmases were so different from the Christmases we have today. There are no beautiful lights on the house like Daddy puts up. There was no big tree with lights on it and presents underneath it like we have today. Their Christmases were very, very different. And so the next time I read, we will start on Christmas. I love you from Grandma's Story Room. Till next time.